Smith. We're here in Brooklyn at Mona Lisa Studios. I got RB Umali in the building, the man that I feel like needs no introduction, has been in the game for a long time, and this is the Mission Statement Podcast. We're here to chop it up and just catch up, see what's going on.
Yeah, Lee?
I just found this out the other day, that there's no more Zoo York.
Oh, really? Well, actually, there still is a Zoo York, actually.
Well, Zoo York as we know it doesn't exist. Or...
Yeah, there's no longer a skateboard team in New York City, which breaks my heart. But Zoo York as a brand still exists. You can still buy their clothes at a JCPenney near you. Chapman Skateboards are still making skateboards, but I believe they're only logo boards. And overseas, in Australia and in the UK, they have skate teams. And the dudes that are running Zoo York out there know what's up, which I'm really psyched they're bringing the legacy on. I just really wish there was a representation here in New York City. It's Zoo York, but
That's crazy. So there's skate teams in other countries, but not here.
Yeah, which boggles my mind.
Is this something that you knew was gonna happen, or they just kind of snuck it up on you?
Ever since it got bought by Echo, then it was owned by Iconics after that. At the end of every year, I was nervous, oh man,
whenever they're
I'm not gonna have a job next year. This whole skate team could just drop like this. I was nervous for my job every year for a good 12 years probably. And I knew the day was inevitably gonna come. Yeah, because the original crew left a long time ago. For me, I had a great run with them. I have no hard feelings towards the guys that ran the original Zoo York and worked for Zoo York while I was there, because I got to make skate videos, travel the world, and see cool people
videos, huh?
And support myself here in the city I want to be in, which is New York. Which, when I first moved here as a kid, New York City as a skateboarder, I wanted to work for Zoo York. It just makes sense, It was the best brand in New York City when I first moved here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a great run, but unfortunately, they're not skateboarders
Yeah,
anymore.
I think I saw the other day they did there was a yoga post or some Instagram, and they were getting a lot of
Yeah, they took that down real quick. It's really funny if you look at their Instagram now. I don't know who's posting over there, but it isn't anyone I know, and it definitely isn't someone that skateboards, because anyone that would skateboard would not be posting the stuff they're posting right now. And if you read the comments, man, it gets pretty brutal. But
damn, that's a shame.
It's a shame. It breaks my heart, because I have a lot of pride for Zoo York.
Of course.
People don't know how much it really meant to New York City and skateboarding back in the day. Kids these days will have no idea. And I spent half my life, blood, sweat, and tears working for this company, and I had the best time. So when I see what they're doing now, it really breaks my heart, man.
But you're also a guy who's pretty focused, and I think that you probably always think 2 steps ahead. So I mean, you kind of have your thing going on as well. At least you weren't just relying on this one thing.
Yeah, I mean, being in New York City and being a skateboarder, you just adapt to your environment. That's what we do. You got to survive. You got to have a hustle, and you can't just have one hustle.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's got a side gig, at least one side gig to live in this.
That's true.
Gritty, expensive city in the smallest apartment ever. That's what you do to survive here. And being a skateboarder, you adapt. You pop off skate stoppers. You skate stuff that's not skatable. And me being a video producer with the skateboarder's mentality, yeah, I always had a side gig, and it was just making videos for other companies. And now, the internet and the way that has changed skate videos has been negative to me for skate videos, because the value of a skate video to me isn't the same what it used to be when it was on a VHS tape. But because of social media, everybody needs content, constant content, every week. So my workload is through the roof, but I'm doing these smaller videos every week rather than one video that I put all my heart into that could come out in 2 years.
And I imagine that the content, the videos aren't even as appreciated as it used to be.
Because you put something out one week, people talk about it for maybe 3 days, and then that's it.
3 days, that might even be a lot.
Yeah. And that's when I started to get burnt out on making skate videos, is when, damn, we got to put out a video every year, and then I got to put out 4 videos a year, 4 little videos, and then we got to make that video, make a behind the scenes video, then make all these little teasers for the video to keep the buzz going. And I'm just man, I started to get burnt out on it. The state of skateboarding now is I would not have seen it being like this just 10 years ago. There's no way I would have thought certain brands would be the way they are now.
Seriously, right?
And the state of skate videos would be as they are now.
Yeah.
But the level of skating is incredible. I love what all the skaters are doing out there and how creative all the kids are getting.
The level of skating is something that I my brain like 15 years ago would not be able to comprehend.
And we came from an era where skateboarding was like, it was almost like high school where like you had to do the right things and dress a certain way to be accepted, you know? Now like, it's cool seeing all this creativity and people accepting things that we would have made fun of back in the day.
That's true. It's a lot, everything is acceptable now.
Not everything, but a lot. A lot more, a lot of stuff that we would have made fun of back in the day is acceptable.
That's true. You know what's funny though? Cause like at Embarcadero, I remember like all you had to do was do a trick one time, you know? And then it was like cemented in history. Yeah. And then you're like, see those stairs? I kickflip those, like.
Well, you had to do it one time on video.
Or even if somebody was just there to see it.
Yeah.
You could be like, I kickflipped those stairs, RB was there, he saw
Being on the other side of the country, hearing about all the stuff that was going down in Embarcadero, there were a lot of myths, because we'd see photo sequences that are kind of questionable. You know, like, damn, did that really go down? And then we go to the spot like, damn, did that really go down? I never saw the footage, but I saw like a video grab or like a sequence that might have been pieced together, like, you know, because skateboarders, we'd catch on to things. We're like, maybe they pieced this together. Who knows, like, if that really came out or not.
If you could make your dream skate video right now, like, what do you think it would be?
Vicious sequel.
That would be sick.
Yeah, I would do Vicious sequel for sure.
With the same guys? Or
yeah, with the same guys and then some.
Some of the same guys,
yeah, but just
right?
like a homie video. Vicious Cycle was like my favorite skaters that I loved skating with, and all their friends too on top of that, you know?
So you already had the name, it must have been something you've been thinking about.
Oh, we talked about doing this a long time ago, yeah. But everyone's onto their own things. And
I already want to see it, like I'm ready.
Yeah, I think we filmed a couple lines for it, but I think they already got leaked to Instagram. Like, yeah, I ended that dream a little while ago. But that was the video I wanted to make, like a friends video, which Vicious Cycle was like, I mean, it was like me and Zared's version of Peep This. Peep This was my first video that I was just like, all right, I got funding from a company to make a skate video and I can put whoever I want into it. Like, and it was all friends like skating in the East Coast. And yeah, that's what I want to make. Like a video with all my favorite skaters skating the East Coast.
Damn, that'd be sick. You were talking about when you moved here, how you got close with the guys and everything.
Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned that like Robbie and Jimmy didn't like you that much. Even for me, like that's a pretty intimidating crew.
Yeah, not for real. When I was
I was an
18-year-old kid, no, I was a 17-year-old kid that was visiting here before I moved here, and I was sponsored by a company out of New Jersey. But I had a friend that worked at Supreme. Lenny Kirk was out here. Like I met all the guys, but I was so intimidated by that whole crew. You know, like that whole crew had so much character on and off their boards, and they were like real street kids, which. I mean, I grew up in Houston, Texas, where like, yeah, there's some hood areas out there, but I skated the skate park and like met some kids on the streets of downtown. But like here in New York City, that mentality was like something so new to me. And I would go to San Francisco and I'd see kind of the same mentality also, but like, they were like.
We were a little more California vibe, like a little more accepting.
But I remember going out to San Francisco and seeing the New York guys in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they were like the coolest guys in San Francisco too, to me. I was like, whoa, that's Harold.
Well,
that's
it's
Ryan
funny
Hickey,
because
Jeff Pang, like.
For us, like we were the EMB guys and we felt like we were pretty cool. And then the New York guys came and then like kind of like we were like, oh shit, dude, like these guys are fucking.
Yeah, and did you start
these guys might be cooler than us,
and stuff they would say, would you like start imitating them?
Like they came to Embarcadero and like made fun of our music. And we're like, yo, like nobody else could get away with that except like these guys, you know?
Yeah, I'll never forget. Every time I would go to California with Harold, he would just like start like going off on his like
hey fool,
hey fool, you mark ass busters. You mark ass busters from New York.
So who was one of the first guys that you started filming with?
I think Harold and Justin Pierce were the first two guys I met through Matt McGrath at Supreme, and I was filming them for 4-in-1 before I moved here. But then I moved here and I wanted to film like world videos, like because I was a big fan of like, you know, Trilogy and 20-shot sequence and all that. So I started filming with Javier Nunez, Maurice Key, and Clyde Singleton. He was out here at the time. And
was he living in? He was in Tampa at the time or something?
He was in Jacksonville, but he was. Everybody came out. Carl Watson was out. Everybody was out here in the summertime. Like you went to Astor Place, and like half the pro skaters were visiting from California, and then there was the New York crew. I was like, yeah, I'm here. I'm working for 4-in-1. I worked for Transworld as a freshman in college at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was my in.
That's sick.
And I remember filming for 4-in-1 and Transworld all the time, but then I was a big fan of what Dan Wolf was doing and all the 4-in-1 videos representing Philly, and he told me he was doing an Eastern Exposure video, and do you want me to help out with filming the New York guys? I was like, damn, dude, that sounds so good. Like, yeah, this sounds better than the world videos I'm filming for right now. This could be really sick. Like, and I remember filming Kareem Campbell on Allen Street, and I was telling Dan Wolf, like, yeah, you know, I'm supposed to give this to Socrates, but I'm gonna give you first dibs on this if you want to use it. Did that come out? Yeah, it was in Eastern Exposure 3. Kareem Campbell, backside 5-0, the Allen Street rail. I think he might have nose grinded it also. And Dan Wolf was like so psyched. But then I remember seeing like, it says filmed by Dan Wolf, additional filming like RB Umali. Like, I was like, yes. I was so hyped to be part of that video. Like, yeah, and still to this day, people say that's their favorite East Coast video.
Yeah, for sure. It was like classic.
Yeah, I love that video. When I was visiting here the year before I left, I met like Harold, Justin, and everyone, but didn't realize that was the same summer that Kids was in production. I didn't.
Were you around for that?
I was around like right before that, I think. And then Kids went into production. I spent a year in Texas, and then I saw like the trailer for Kids come out after I had already got accepted in NYU and knew I was moving back. And I was like, holy shit, like these guys are in this big movie.
Yeah.
And I'm about to move to New York and go to film school. So I was like a freshman in film school, hanging around like the crew from Kids, staying at a dorm right by Washington Square Park, going into film school, and in my film classes, they're talking about this movie, Kids.
And you're like, yeah, these are all my friends that I hang out with.
And then I got like Hamilton Harris like meeting me outside. I'm like, that's the blood road from Kids. I was like, yep, like, that's my boy. Like we skated Astor Place every night, and like Washington Square. I lived literally right in between Washington Square Park and Astor Place.
Oh, you were like in the mix.
Yeah, so like my dorm was like Astor Place after hours.
Yeah.
Like if you're underage, come over to my dorm room and like we'll get lit.
That's awesome.
And it was like, Javier Nunes over all the time, Hamilton, Harold, like people everyone knew from the movie, and I was like, yeah.
It seems like after that movie came out, like the New York skaters kind of went into another dimension of reality, I guess. I mean,
it was crazy for me just moving here and hanging out with Harold Hunter as an underage kid, skipping the line into all these clubs with being like a dirty teenage skateboarder.
Yeah.
And like all these people are dressed up to get into the club, and like we walk right up like, oh, Harold, who do you got with you? Yeah, I got these 12 guys with me. Yeah. All with skateboards, no ID check, nothing. Just walk right in, and like you're with Harold, he's a celebrity. Like, I mean, there's a lot of X-rated shit that we can't really talk about, but yeah, Harold was the man. He was the man. He was that dude that like went to the lake, and he didn't fish with a line, he fished with a net. There wasn't a fish in the lake that didn't know Harold's name by the time you fucking left that place. Harold, you got to go for the big girls because they're easy. Out of nowhere, like
so
instant celebrity.
Yeah, I remember hearing about like all the way on the West Coast, like Harold is like hanging out with Leonardo DiCaprio, and like guys are dating models, and like it was just seemed like it was a really like
turning into
fun
models.
and amazing time to like
crazy.
be here.
Yeah, it was so and like hip hop was so big, like. You're just like, damn it, like the entire Wu-Tang Clan knows who Harold is. Like you can walk down the street, Old Dirty would be like, yo, what up, Harold? Or like Mos Def is like this new pop and hip hop artist at the time. It's like, oh, Harold, come to my release event. It's like, oh, Mos Def just invited us all to this. Like everywhere we went, it was like.
That's nuts.
Yeah, we were just known in the city. Like, oh, it's the Zoo York, that's the Supreme guys. Those are the skaters. Like, but this was back in the day when you would hear skateboard wheels rolling down the street. You would look, 4 out of 5 times you'd know who it was. I don't know who anyone is anymore. It's like
smaller crew, smaller.
It was like
crew
we were a small crew. Like if you skated, like we all knew who we were.
Yeah.
Everyone was, you know.
You know, it's funny. I remember for me, one of the times that really blew my mind when I came to New York was like I went to Supreme. I think this was like in 2000 or 2001 or something. So I'm in Supreme, and
that was probably when we met.
Yeah, it was probably around then. And like I think Alex was the manager.
Yeah, I can't believe you weren't here before then. But yeah, you're right. I never
might have been
before
at some
then.
point in time.
Around that time we filmed that trick at House and Park.
Yeah, that sketchy trick.
But that was the first time I saw you in the city. Yeah, and that was about that same year. I think.
Dudes were at Supreme, and they were like drinking $40 bottles of Veuve Clicquot in the middle of the daytime while they're working. And it was like, who's got the next bottle, and and everybody was going to buy and I'm like, dude, like back in SF, we drink 40s of Old English. And I was like, dude, something's going on here. Like these guys.
That's when skaters started to make a little money though. That's the thing, you know?
I was like, these guys are on another level here. Like, this is kind of crazy. Like, there's something more to like what's going on here. I think that was the first time I ever even drank champagne was in Supreme.
Wow, that's so funny because to me, the first time I went to San Francisco, I think I'd been to New York already, but San Francisco at the time was the mecca for skateboarding. You know, like you guys were so far ahead of everything, and that's where the industry was before everyone I loved in San Francisco moved down to LA or moved out here. Maybe like the second or third time I really went to SF, I would stay with Drake and Josh Kalis, but I was already like living out here.
I remember when they had that apartment, it was like off the Fillmore. And that was
Hayes,
kind of
Hayes
like,
Street, I think.
Was it Hayes?
By the Jack in the Box off Hayes. That's what I remember.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
JB Gillett was like staying on their couch for a while. Yeah, that was a fucking
when
fun
Kalis
time.
was. I think he did the switchback tail down hubba at that around that time.
I filmed him try that. That's when I met Tobin Yelland. He shot the photo of that.
Damn, that's sick.
I met Scott Johnson at that time too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lenny was out there
Mad
too.
Circle days.
Yep. And then Scott came to New York right after that, and we were filming a lot for Mad Circle. Yeah, a lot of people I met around that time. Man, San Francisco was so fun back then.
Were you out there for a while, or did you spend like some
I spent maybe like 2 weeks there in the summer and 2 weeks there in the winter. Not a lot, but yeah, I wanted to be in New York. Like New York was so new to me, and for me it was like there was nobody filming here at the time. So I was like, oh, I was the man. Like I was like, everybody wanted to film with me. Anthony Claraval was here before I got here, but then he moved away. Like Dimitri had a camera, Keith Huffnagel had a camera, Alex Corporan had a camera, but yeah, I mean, no one really took it seriously. I think I was the first filmer that was like working for 4-in-1 and Trans World, like really trying to go out and get stuff all the time.
Did you notice like a huge difference like in the West Coast, like filming with the skaters out there and then filming like back here, or?
Honestly, okay, so I grew up in Texas filming kids at the skate park out there. Kids in Texas were so much more consistent. Like they would land their tricks over and over again, like every time.
The kids out here.
Out here, people would take forever to land their shit, but they would pop their tricks so much higher and look so much doper doing their shit in like a better environment, you know? So everything became so much more valuable, and I became a lot more patient because I was like, okay, like, yeah, he's taking forever, but when he does it, it's gonna look so fucking sick because the scenery, the way he's dressed, like how sick he's popping his stuff. But like in Texas, yeah, people land their shit every time, but it's like it's a skate park or some bland like. That's what I liked about Astor Place. I remember the first time I went to Astor, I was like, why the fuck is everyone skating here? There's like a curb, a garbage can, and like flat ground that's not even smooth, but everyone's here, and I didn't get it. I was like, oh wait, this is just like, you fucking see girls walking by, like you fucking play CeeLo, like smoke blunts and drink 40s all night, and you just chill and like skate flat ground.
I feel like the West Coast is kind of like, or maybe even Texas is the same. It's kind of like, in a very like broad, stereotypical sense. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rules, but like you have like your one bench, and then you do like a million tricks on it. Like how many wacky combos can we do on this fucking bench? And New York's more like spot driven, where it's like, let's go out, push around, see what we can find, and like, you know, try to just bang some
the scenery
shit out.
always changes.
Yeah.
In New York, where in New York it's like, it's a schoolyard, but there's some schoolyards there that I loved, like Lockwood and Les Feliz, like all those spots where like, if there's a natural hip and plastic tables, like, come on, that's like
that is true.
A lot of fun.
That's true. I guess it just doesn't seem like in New York you would be like at a spot for too long.
But back then when I first moved here, you could skate all day at these spots, and there was no such thing as skate stoppers back then.
Really?
Yeah, like in 96, 97, nothing was skate stopped. There were security guards, but then I think around 98, 99, you started seeing ledges getting capped and stuff. But before then, like no one knew what to do when a guard would kick you out, you go across the street. They kick you out, you go back to the first spot. Like just go back and forth all night, like Midtown all night. Yeah, meet at Supreme, go to the banks, back to Supreme, then to Astor, then to Union Square, then to Midtown, then back to Astor.
That's
we never left Manhattan back then too, though. That was another thing. Like we would go to Brooklyn, we'd go to maybe BAM or something like that was chill, but we wouldn't like lurk out in the hood for like spots because, it wasn't cool back then.
Yeah.
There was something about that era of the mid-90s before we had smartphones and we had pagers and then we graduated to cell phones. And I remember like there was something just so organic about that time. Your daily routine was pure. It wasn't planned out. It wasn't like, now you can sit at home, you don't have to leave your room. You can find out what's going on in the city, like who's skating where, who's
You can
doing
be like,
what.
oh, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, you know, like back then, like you had to meet up with the crew and like stay with that crew.
Yeah.
Like these days, like everyone's got a phone, so it's like, oh, I'm not into that spot. I'm gonna go do my thing, and then I'll see where you guys are at later, and I'll catch up. Like that was not a possibility back in the day. Like your whole day was just like you had to be there or you weren't there.
Back in the days, I always liked the like mission of finding the crew.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you like run into this other person, and then you run into that person, and next thing you know, you're like rolling with another crew, like trying to find, and then you finally catch up with everybody, and you're like,
Yeah,
dude,
and
I was looking for you guys
era.
for like hours.
That doesn't exist anymore. But back then it was like, oh man, I'm late. No one's at Supreme. All right, go to the banks. Someone like, oh, they're not at the banks, but someone will be at the banks. Like,
Yeah, and that will tell you where they went.
yeah, and then you're just like, oh, there they are, and then boom, you're with the crew. Like,
From my perspective, like back in the days, at least in SF, like the filmers and photographers were kind of like guys who weren't like that good at skating. It always seemed like they were like, okay, I'm gonna pick it. I still love it, so let me pick this up.
well, that's me now.
Let me pick this up so I can still be a part of this.
Yeah.
The cool guys were always the dudes that land tricks, right? Like those are your heroes. Like the guys who are, you know, Henry Sanchez, Carroll, Tay. But then when you
Those are the guys that are landing tricks that never been landed before, though.
yeah. Fast forward maybe like 15, 20 years later, the photographers and the videographers are kind of like are the ones that still have careers going off of what they, you know, off of what they started a long time ago. And then the skaters, maybe when it's all said and done, they have to still figure it out. So it kind of like flips, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you see a lot of skaters pick up photography and filming.
That's true, they
later
do
in their
that
career
too.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Did you ever feel like maybe, because I know you're super good at what you do, but do you ever feel like maybe it was good that you like your path went the way it did, or like?
Yeah,
did
not
you
for
ever
nothing.
think
I
about
mean,
that?
I was a sponsored skater in high school. Like I skated like NSA amateur contests back in the day, and I remember being a senior in high school, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna like take a year off, not go to college, and like, you know, focus on like being a sponsored skater. But this is when you could skate ledges and like do a trick down like 4 stairs and be good, you know, before I saw the shit getting real big. And then my parents were like, you know, you're gonna lose your motivation if you take a year off. I'm like, damn, you're right. Like, I'll never go back to school.
Yeah.
And my team manager at the time was just like, he kind of like gave me a fucking like, the biggest like demotivator. Was like, honestly, do you ever see yourself being a pro skater? Like, you're not as good as like Lenny or Anthony or these other guys are skating. I was like, damn, like he's right. It's like I am way better at filming. And like being a filmer, I'm the only filmer, and I get all the perks of being a pro skater.
That's
Free
exactly.
product, get to travel, get paid.
Yeah.
And I don't have to jump down shit all day. I can jump down it when I want.
And you still get paid to do what you
Yeah,
love.
still get paid to do what I love. And
Like
I can be sponsored by more than one board company.
Yeah.
Like I can film for World and I can film for fucking Real, you know?
You're honing a skill and like, but you're right. There are a lot of skaters that have done both, that have been pro,
Yeah.
and then you got Arto, Greg Hunt, like a bunch of
But
guys.
as I was saying earlier, we're skateboarders. We adapt and we always got a side hustle. You know? So like, you see these other skaters, they figure out what else they can do besides skate, and you roll with it.
True. It seems like sometimes as a pro skater, the earlier that you like get out of it, like if you're not like a Costin or a guy or one of those dudes, like maybe the better. Like sometimes it's a blessing in disguise, you know?
It's crazy seeing that Costin and Guy are still out there like doing amazing.
I mean, those are like the Michael Jordans of like
They were the best
skateboarding.
when we were teenagers, and they're still the
They're
best
still
now.
killing it. Yeah, it's crazy, right? What about like filming nowadays? I know you said you were a little bit burnt out on it, but like when you go out with the kids nowadays, like is there a big difference between how it was back in the days, or?
I mean, it is because I'm not in touch with the streets like I used to be. Like I'm not hanging out at Union Square till 4 a.m. every night like I used to. Like I have a wife and, you know, responsibilities now. Back in the day, I was just like not doing anything. All right, I'm out in the streets, you know.
Yeah.
My footage is not as appreciated as it used to be in my eyes anymore, as it, you know. But I still love going out and filming skating.
Yeah.
You know, I still go out and go out and film the young guys that I was filming since they were like, you know, 16, 17, but now my young guys are like old guys now. I mean,
Are they
I've
clocking
seen
a
all
lot more
different.
footage?
I've seen all different types of the spectrum though, like because I had filmed for Street League. I've been to a lot of the Street Leagues, and seeing that level of consistency is like unreal. And my thing too is like I don't have a local crew anymore. I get like dudes from out of town, like, oh, I'm coming into town. Are you around? Can we go out and film? So like I film dudes that come into the city from like other countries or states to film with me, and they're like always excited and everything's new to them. So yeah, they're gonna try really hard things and they're consistent. Yeah, they're more consistent than what they used to be. Like I'm not spending like months trying to get
You're not
tricks.
sitting at a ledge, yeah.
I mean, no, that's not true actually. Like I've been out there this summer trying to get some stuff with a certain skater. I'm not gonna blow up any names right now, but yeah, certain skaters go through dry spells. Every filmer and skater knows this. Like, you got a dry spell. When you break that dry spell, you're like, all right, like,
then you
let's keep the roll going. Let's keep it going. But then another dry spell will hit. So
yeah, for sure.
it's like that with every skater, and you got to cater to every skater differently, depending on how they work,
Yeah.
But it's funny because a lot of times I'm like, oh, like I'll bring my real camera out and then. Like, I don't know, leave the real camera in the back. I'd rather just film this for fun on the phone. And I'm like, wait, that was like...
And you're like, that was
pretty sick, And more people will like gravitate to what I filmed on the phone, and the skater that I'm filming will like be more relaxed when I'm filming on the phone. When back in the day, they wanted to see like the death lens come out before they'd really try something hard.
That's true.
They're like, you're just filming with like whatever camera. Like I'm not gonna try to like break out the real camera. I'll try something. Now it's like, you break out the real camera, the fun goes away.
Yeah.
If you're just filming on a phone, like, oh, I'll just do whatever and like.
that always kind of that was like with that you could say like, all right, I'll break out the real camera when you like, let me see if you're really gonna go for it.
I wish I had like the fake camera back in the day too. So many times like, yo, you want to film this trick? I'm like, dude, will you please come close? Because I have tapes. And these tapes are like $30 each. And I got a 60-minute tape to last me this week, and I can't afford to like spend $30 a day to go out and film you guys.
How did you say no?
Dude, there was so many times I would just like have the camera not even on. Or just like, so many skaters like, I'm gonna wait for you to like.
You would have been like, you would have gotten some.
Or as soon as like they would like come close, all right, I'll turn the camera on, but I'll just like kind of. Yeah, I don't
if you knew they weren't like, they were just pussyfooting around, like you'd be like, oh.
Yeah, like dude, the dude doesn't want to try it unless I'm pointing the camera on him. I know damn well he's not gonna even come close. And I was right every fucking time. I never missed anything like that. But there's a lot of times where I like sitting at the banks wall, like, all right, he's not gonna try it unless I got my camera here. And I know damn well he ain't gonna fucking come close. And a good like couple hours will go by. All right, I'll turn the camera on now. Maybe he'll come close. Still never land on that shit.
Oh man, that's amazing.
I mean, that's what you get like being in the game and just knowing certain skaters. Like,
of course, like when they're
like, dude doesn't even want to try it unless I'm pointing the camera. But I know damn well he hasn't even tried it, so dude's not gonna land it first try. Or maybe I'd like turn it on for the first try. I'm like, oh, I knew it. And I'm like, just turn the camera off. I'm like, all right, I'm good, go. Well, the camera's not even on. It's like, yo, can I check that out? I was like, no, I just rewinded over the tape. Like, do it again. Like, camera's not even on.
Oh my god, dude. But there had to be guys like that would call you and be like, you'd be like, fuck.
I mean, there's certain guys like
go out with this
Quim,
guy
Huff, like dudes I was psyched to film. Gino, yeah, I'll film you all day. Like, boom, I'll film you just like, I'm just psyched to be filming you. So yeah, like I'll film your every try, no problem. But then some guys, I'm like, oh, you again?
Yeah,
like,
you're like,
yo, I want to get this trick for 4-1, man. I'm like, dude, did you even try it? He was like, no, I got this. Got it first try, dead ass. They never said dead ass back then. But I'm like, all right. It's like, yo, can you just come close before I like start rolling my tape? Like, I just did. Like, no, you didn't.
It's funny because I remember back in SF, like sometimes I'd hit up filmers and they'd be like, and they'd have the weirdest excuses, and I'd be like, what's up with this dude? He doesn't want to like.
Yeah, because back then we didn't have memory cards. Like now, like it's a memory card. Yeah, I'll film you all day. Like just fucking. Back then it was tapes. Like you had to pay a lot of money for a tape, and yeah, this shit just took a long time. And then I would get some tapes sent to me, but it'd be like, all right, 4-in-1 gave me like 6 tapes, which is 6 hours, but I got that for this month, so I got to make like 1 tape last a week, if then. So like,
for sure.
And now that I look back at it, I'm like, damn, I wanted to just, I wish I had whole tapes to just like film the whole crew, like chilling,
just fucking
talking shit, like, because it's all the in-between takes that I like now.
Yeah.
But back then, I was so stingy with my tapes. I'm a cheap Asian.
I know Maze
just like,
said the same thing. You touched a little bit on it earlier, but it's like the connection between hip hop and skating is like even stronger than it ever was, I feel like.
Really? No?
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Everybody wants to skate nowadays.
That's
Kinda.
true. You see a lot of rappers that skate and skaters that rap. But
And the kids of all the rappers skate.
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Like all their kids skate. Like Ice Cube's kids skate.
Juju's kid is a rock and roller and he rips.
Juju's kid.
Yeah.
But it seems like you guys were on that earlier, like maybe even planted that seed or started that.
we saw it going hand in hand, like
It was
especially being in the
organic.
city, like, but also like you guys, the Menace guys in LA, like you guys were like so hip hop, you know, like Kareem, like, yeah, like it just, you knew like a certain skater liked a certain music by the way they skate and the way they dressed back in the day. Now it's kind of hard to tell, and like you're seeing rappers are dressing like they don't even rap these days.
That's true.
Like styles just changed, but music and skateboarding, whether it's punk rock, hip hop, or whatever, like they just go hand in hand to me. I associate music with anything though. Like music's a big part of my life.
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess I was here at a great time. Like the mid '90s here in New York City, skateboarding and hip hop was just like there was no better place in the world, in my opinion.
It was definitely like organic, and it kind of created what's going on now. Like
Being around the guys that I was skating with, Harold Hunter and Vinny Ponti, they knew everybody in the DJ scene, the hip hop scene. Like, you know, I worked for Zoo York, so I would like go to the Stretch, and I would tape the Stretch Armstrong show one week, the Stretch and Bobbito show. You guys must know what that is.
Yeah, for sure.
And then one week I'd be at the radio show filming the rappers, you know, and then I'd go to the banks the next day, and then I'd get Kyle James, who was he was notorious for skating the banks in Timberlands, like, oh, you were on the Stretch show last night, right? Like, yeah, I was listening. I heard them shout you out.
That's sick.
And then like, yeah, like we were friends with Mos Def. We were like, I was shooting music videos for Raucous when I was like, you know, in college.
Did you trip on it, or did it feel just kind of like normal? Like,
I mean, I tripped on it at first, but then I was like, wait, I gotta be cool about this. So if I want to hang out with these guys, I can't be like the little like hungry fan guy. But literally inside my head, I was like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm here with these guys right now. This is so sick.
yeah, that's
But,
awesome.
yeah, I had to play it cool.
You ever get in any tense situations over there, like being in there?
I got into a tense situation with Capadonna in the booth. He just thought I was getting a little too close with my fisheye. And we were in this little hot box. It was just like hot, and it was just me and Capadonna. Quim Cardona was outside, and he was vibing with Quim, because Quim was just like stoned and all this shit. And then we shot this freestyle. Capadonna got a little bummed on me, because like we were both just like in this little booth, you know, and I'm filming his fisheye, and I was like killing his vibe. And fucking, we never even used the freestyle that we shot too.
Man.
After all that. But it was funny, we were all hyped. That's Capadonna, Wu-Tang Clan, but like, dude, he's like the worst dude in Wu-Tang Clan.
I think
He had like a rad verse.
You God was kind of worse.
Yeah. You got, yeah, but it's like, and then there's
Shout
all
out
these,
to
like,
you, God.
Shout out to you guys, shout out to Capadonna. I love Wu-Tang. Don't get me wrong, but like, damn, like, I know, Inspector Deck is my favorite.
Inspector Deck was tight.
And the
Did you ever
Jizza.
see Biggie over there?
I never saw Biggie, and I remember we had a photo shoot the week end that Biggie died, and I have this footage of like, it was one of the first shoots Todd Jordan was on, the York shoots, and then I have footage of Peter BC just screaming on the roof like, Biggie, why? And I'll just never
Really?
forget that, yeah. It's all intertwined, like, you know, skateboarding, like everybody you meet is like, to this day is like so relevant, and like where all the connections I've made, like, so advice to kids I give all the time, like, oh, what do I got to do to like make it in skateboarding in the industry? Is like, dude, you just got to be cool to everyone you meet, be patient, and don't expect to make a lot of money. Like, you know, just do it for the love, and then just be cool to everyone you meet and don't give up. And I remember like moving here after a while, like I made the zoo video, and I was talking to Ari Markopoulos, who is this photographer that I've just always loved his work and like looked up to so much, and like he knew that I was making Peep This, which is my second video, like 1 year after Mixtape came out, and he was like, oh, you're already doing Peep This? Like, don't stop, man, keep going. Like, I'll never forget being a 19-year-old kid at Supreme when Ari Markopoulos told me like, dude, don't stop, keep it going. Like him giving me that motivation, like really hit me like
And that
so
always
hard.
stayed with you.
Always stayed in there. I was like, you're right. Next year I put out heads. Like, like in, 97, 98, 99, I put out 3 videos, you know, like to this day, like I was
Classics.
like, man. Yeah, they're classics. And
Yeah.
to me, it meant a lot to me. And that motivation from Ari and everyone else, just like, don't stop, keep it going. Like, no, like you got to do it yourself. Just make it happen, you know?
Yeah, for
Don't
sure.
wait for these other people to make your shit go by. Like, you want it to happen, make it happen yourself, and now you can do it.
It also must be really rewarding to not only have done that for yourself, but for what you have done for like other people, showcasing their talent.
And that's what I saw years down the line.
Yeah.
Like I never really thought about that, but then I realized, wait, these are all these like skaters' careers that I've helped like build and nourish, and they've all flourished onto like bigger and better things. Like they all come and go so fast. Like a skater's career, not every skater is Eric Husson. A lot of skaters' careers are like maybe 6 years, 5, 6 years, you know, like. And it's crazy to think about all these people that I've seen as like as like young hungry AMs coming up with their sponsor me tapes to like veteran pros to company owners, all within like a 10-year span.
But not even only company owner and like various things though. Just like it seems like a lot of the guys that we know from back in the days, everybody has gone on to do like tremendous things, but in all aspects, from like skate companies to like shoe companies, clothing brands, like
Just whatever. Everyone is like, it's a DIY like marketplace now. Like you make it happen yourself. And I remember actually being on a girl tour in '99 with all those heavy hitters you're talking about. Rick, Mike, Huff was on this tour, and they were like, "Man, we're all gonna leave DC." Like, because DC was the shit back then.
Yeah, it was the shit.
We're all leaving DC. We're all
Carl
gonna
Shipman, Scott Johnson.
I think Huff might have already been on DVS at the time, but they were like, we're all leaving. And boom, Lakai started like the next year. And I was like, damn, it is a DIY. Like,
it's so
marketplace.
sick. Yeah, man. I actually, sometimes I look at it like kind of like, I don't know, it's like a miracle that you take all these kids that love this children's toy from like
This fad.
yeah,
It was
this
a fad when I started.
This children's toy from the 60s that has somehow turned into this like subculture and lifestyle and of like, and people have been able to make careers and lives off of it, and it's I think it's a miracle, man.
It's crazy.
I think it's amazing.
Because it was a fad when I started, you know, and like my parents did not want me to skateboard. They wanted me to hang out at the golf course and like, you know, like make like real money. And like, oh, he'll get over the skateboarding fad. It's been like, you know, 30 years later, I'm still doing it. And seen the world, like done all this stuff, still here to this day. And like, I'll never look back, and no regrets at all.
For sure.
Yeah.
What are you working on nowadays? Like, what's next for you? Like,
I mean, right now, Giovanni Reda and I have a documentary we're working on about the golden era of skateboarding here in New York City, and how that golden era is still relevant to this day, and how a lot of the kids that are making moves here in the city now are influenced by what we did in the mid-'90s more than the stuff that was going on in the late 2000s.
you think they're aware of that?
Oh, yeah.
They know it.
Yeah, I see
Whether
all these kids
consciously
that
or
like,
subconsciously.
they would much rather watch like mid-'90s like skate footage on YouTube than go like through their Instagram feed and see what kids are doing, you know? Yeah, it's rad seeing kids that get it like that. Kids with the old soul, you know?
That's sick.
I guess for the future, like I just want to keep creating, you know, like I'll always have a love for skateboarding, and if I ever have the chance to work in skateboarding, yeah, I will take that opportunity and, you know, I'll utilize it for its fullest potential, and we'll always show love. I'll always be a fan of the sport. But to these days, I just want to keep creating things and go bigger and better and keep the wheel turning.
RB, thanks for coming through. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, Lee.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this was a good time.
To chop it up with you.
I love the set. This is a great scenario.
You got some of my grandma's
This
furniture.
is very nice. Your grandma has great taste.
Awesome, man.
Cool. That's
Peace
Good.
out.